tracing paper and carbon paper, and a whole set of woods. So I need to make a little bit of a tracing of this part of the eye. On either side, and then finally we'll start to get to the lids. So I'm going to start in the middle of this and build the picture out. And the first step then for me is to pick out some woods that I can use to simulate this picture.
That's amazing.
Brownish woods for the iris. And I've got a couple of those, and then I need a slightly darker wood, white, and then a quite dark piece, a little bit lighter, and then these are the two pieces that I'll be using for the white of the eye. That's what I'm going to work from here. Now, I go back to my drawing. Oh, I need a real dark piece for the pupil too. I need a piece of that.
Question, do you just instinctively know how these woods are going to darken up when they're finished?
Yes, and that goes back to my point about working on those jewelry boxes way back when, because I did enough of them and I knew how the woods reacted to the finish and how they were going to look when they got the finish on them and how they're going to react with one another. Okay, now I'm always working from the back side of the picture. Who's got the picture now? Right there. Okay, hold that up. No, the marquetry part. So I've got one clean side. Now flip it around so everyone can see the other side. I've got all the tape on the other side, so I can't see the work from that side. But that's ultimately going to be the side that's up, the side, flip it around again now. That's the side that's going to get the glue on it. Okay, so that's the side I'm working on, but it gets the glue on it, so everything is done in mirror image. All right, so I've got my tracing here, and that's all well and good. Now I just want to flip my tracing paper over, and now that is simulating what's going on with that part, okay? So I got to start by getting the pupil of the eye onto the wood, onto the ebony. And I'm using this white transfer paper here. Now I'm going to take my pencil and redraw that pupil and this little part there that is going to be the white of the eye. Okay, everybody got that? And this is the wood that I'm going to use to get that little white dot. It's holly. I'm going to lay that under there. Okay, I'm going to back this up with a piece of cardboard and saw out the only important part of this is where these two parts meet. I might get my finger in the way, but I can't. Okay, so the only important part of the cut is where that little white piece joins in with the pupil. So because I cut those together, here's my white piece. I'm going to drop that down there. And is it better up there? Or okay, so since I cut them together, that fits together perfectly right in there. Okay, everybody see that? Yeah. And as I said, I invite you to come up here if you want. Okay, I'm going to put a little glue on that just to hold it together. Now, I go back and key this in with the part that I just cut. And I need key that in with the part that I just cut, and because the Gorilla Glue wiped out my drawing, I'm going to redraw that part. And then I'm going to switch over to the black carbon paper to draw the other part. Okay, so there I've got my pupil, I've got the little white part up there. Now I'm going to start to cut in and radiate that pupil, the iris, around that pupil. So I'm just going to start here arbitrarily, right over there, and I also occasionally need to put a little masking tape on it to hold the picture parts together. I'm going to, if I'm skipping parts over that seem confusing, shout out to me, but I also want to work kind of at real speed so you get a sense of how fast this goes or how slow it goes. Okay, there's one part, the pupil, or the iris is going to have, I'll make 4 or 5 parts to that. I'll just keep working because it won't show up as much until I get several pieces together here. Okay, now I want a little bit darker piece. Okay, I'll stop there for a second. Now I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to go back to the lighter piece for the iris. Backing it up with the cardboard. What you should be noticing here are eventually, well, I know you can't all see it yet, but I'm just going right around the circle and isolating that black piece that is the pupil of the eye. Okay, so now I'm still on this. I'm going to add 2 more pieces of material to this and back to my darker one. It's okay, that's on the waist side. One more piece, and then we'll have something to look at, and I'll definitely show it on camera here. Okay. This.
Are you just sort of winging it on the colors?
Yes. Well, sort of. Sorry, but see, I'm changing it. I'm going from light to dark to light to dark.
Right, but when you're laying it out originally, do you really think about it and do like almost a color by numbers diagram? Or do you wing it?
No, I kind of wing it. I always wing it.
Okay.
Okay, now I want to come back in here with this last piece. Okay, I'm going to show this on camera over here. Here's where I am. Pencil? What did I do with that? Okay, I'll point with this. All right. Okay, so I started with the black piece. We okay? Everybody see this? Okay, started with the black piece, added the white piece, then went right around the wheel, lighter, darker, lighter, darker. Now I want to add one more light piece coming in here, and in doing that, I'm going to come into this point and isolate that little bit of white, and then on out. So in the end, I will have 7 pieces of wood that constitute the center part of that eye. Okay, now I'm going to put that right there. No, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go around the outside of this so that you can see the context of the whole thing. So I'm laying the tracing paper back on here and keying it in with the white part and the black part so that I'm pretty sure that I've got it in the right spot. Slip the carbon paper under there. Now I really do need my pencil. There it is. And now I'm going to draw the outside of the iris. Okay, now I can take this away, and there you can see, there's that central part of the eye with the 7 pieces of wood in it. Okay, all fitting perfectly tightly. I was fundamentally never working with a piece of wood smaller than that. Okay? Got it? Sure we did. All right, now I'm going to do the white of the eye. And I'm just going to lay that on top of there like that. So every cut that you add delineates the borders of the previous cut. Whoop, something flipped away there. I should have put the Gorilla Glue on it. All right, I'm going to fix this though. That was a mistake. I should have used the Gorilla Glue. I got to recut that one that I just cut.
Unless you can find the piece.
No, I'm not going to find it. I think it's going to be easier to cut it again. All right.
Is it a white piece?
I felt it flip up and hit my pants.
There it is.
No, wrong one. No, yeah. And actually, this happens to me at home. And at the base of my saw, I've got shards everywhere. And when I lose one like that, I always get down on my hands and knees and I'll poke around and I'll spend 10 minutes doing it. And it would always be easier to go back and cut a new one. But boy, when you find it, it's that eureka moment. Yes! So I'm going to recut that one, the last one that I just cut. That isolated the white and the black. Believe me, that was much easier. It's this line right here, and this line right there. Damn Gorilla Glue is too wet. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go with a piece of white dark wood. Sorry, I didn't hear.
Takes a lot of experience.
Okay. I've been at it a long time. All right. Okay. Now, what you should be seeing here is that each cut is defining the picture a little bit more. I'm going to make this a really, really fine little line. And across the bottom. Well, and I am backing this one up. Okay, I've got about, what, a dozen pieces in this now, and I'm going to flip it over in a second. And you can start to see the eye. Not really, because once this is only, I'll leave that there. This picture will ultimately only be this thickness. And so when it's glued down to the other backing, like say I glued it to this piece of plywood, that glue is essentially holding those wood fibers from moving at all. They don't really go. Now, there's my original picture. Okay, so now I would want to go back to this and start to add some more pieces. How are we doing time-wise here?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, because I wanted, I'm not, okay, so here we are with this. There's that like that, and ultimately this eye is going to be coming in there like that, once I built the other part together. And eventually I join the two packets together. And in the long run, and then finally drop it into the whole background by sawing right around the whole perimeter of the thing. So I can carry on with this if you want, or spend more time.
Yes, please.
Okay, there you go. Okay, I'm going to keep working on it.
You okay?
I'm fine. Is that all right with everybody? Keep working? Okay. So my next step with this is to go back to my drawing. I've got to flip it back over. And I want to get the upper part of the eyelid a little bit lighter, a little darker, and darker. So across the top of the eyelid, I'm going to work on that next. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. All right, I've got. But I know that I want this black line to be just very, very fine. So I'm going to take this material. Well, I've already got an eye there. It's just perfect. I'm going to take this maple and lay it across there. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I got it. I'm going to go back now. Are you okay on this one, Rick? The next piece of material that I'm going to add is going to be this white part, which is going to be the top of the eyelid right in there. But I'm going to make it run along the whole length of the eye, and I'm going to leave about a 64th of an inch of this black wood along there. Really, really fine line. That's what I want here. Time doing that because I really did want to get a very fine line. I'm not even sure that you can see that until I put the white part next to it. Okay. All right, so right in there, there's that little piece of black material. Yes, I did. Yes, exactly. Because it has short grain running around there, and it just has no fiber strength to it there. So I put the glue on first, and I'm doing that again here too. I need more tape, sorry.
Apologize if it seems like I'm getting in your way.
No, we're doing fine here.
You are the main reason I came to this conference.
All right, I'm flattered. Okay, I'm going to key that in, and I know that I want to break this down into 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is my lighter one right there, and that wrinkle on the top of the eyelid is running right across there. So this is the only, can you see this okay, Rick? So the part that I just cut in is this white line all along here, but ultimately I'm going to isolate it and just get it back pretty much just to that little piece right there. 2 grains of rice. So I want a little bit darker tone now. And I'll go back over here and fish around. Yeah, perfect. Right there. I can swing that out and come back in there. Okay, so I've gone from maple to pear, and now I'm going to add a piece of cherry, which is just one tone darker. So if I'm looking at these in a group, I've got maple. Okay, here's my three tonalities, right there. Maple, 1, 2, 3. So if I'm using that on the flesh tones, that's the way that I'm getting that volumetric look out of that, is to use those next to one another. And the pieces are small enough that they're ultimately going to kind of blend in with one another. And you're not really going to see the pieces of wood, individual pieces of wood, but you're going to see it as a change of tonality, I hope.
You've done this before. I think you know what you're talking about.
Okay, so now I've got those 4 pieces. In fact, I've turned it into 5 pieces. And I'm ready now to carry on up the eye. So if you look at the picture here, the next part that I'll want to deal with is that next wrinkle above at the top of the eyelid, right there. And I've got that on my drawing here. Right there. And that's going to be another black line. Okay, so that black line just cut off the upper part of those previous 5 pieces that I put in there. Now, I hope you're seeing that everything is fitting tightly. Okay, now the next part is going to, okay, so I'm working with tonality. So I'm going to spend a little more time talking about breaking this down into component parts. There, I've got that part of the drawing. Let me shut this on. Okay, everybody with me so far? You see how I keyed that in with the part that I've cut? Okay, here's the outer part of the face right through there. Now, I know I want a little white highlight right up in there. It's the reflection on the glass of the lens. And I want this to be my lightest part, you know, kind of across that part of the brow. And it gets a little bit darker and a little darker still. So I got 1, 2, 3, and then working down the other way, I'm back to 3 as well, and then 3 over in there. Okay, so I've broken this down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts up above the eye. All right? I'm gonna flip this over. And I need this. And, okay, the next part is is the 3. So of these tones that I've got, it's the cherry. So I know I want the cherry right in here to delineate the top part of that, up above that black part. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that. Again, making that black line very, very fine. There, you can see that black line a little better than the other ones.
Have you ever started with a black and white photo?
Sorry.
Have you ever started out with a black and white photo?
Yes, that's what I always use.
Always, oh, okay.
I always use black and white photos. And then make the full-scale drawing from the photo. Some people are generating these things with computers now, too, which is fine. Got no trouble with that. But I took a photograph of myself here and made the drawing from that. Feed this in again. So there's that now, those parts. And the next part is back to well, why didn't that come through? Oh, I folded this over. Cheating. Back to the pear.
Do you like pearwood?
It's beautiful. It's nice, tight grain, very pretty color.
As close to a flesh tone as I've seen.
Yeah. Okay. Are we about time? Because I know there's another group coming into this room. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. I think you got the idea. I'm just building the thing out, and eventually I get it to this point.